It stands for the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project. And what it really amounts to is HAARP is a very large radio frequency transmitter that sends an effective radiated power to the ionosphere, which is that upper portion between 50 and 650 miles, say, above the Earth's surface. It sends up to 1 billion watts of effective radiated power. That's 1 gigawatt.
1 billion watts?
That's correct. That's the effective radiated power. Now, the input power is less than that, but there's a factor of what they call an antenna gain.
Sure.
So what you get, according to the government record, is 1,000 times antenna gain. So a megawatt in is a gigawatt out. That's at phase one. That's where this first phase is headed. Right now it's running about a third of that power, headed for a gigawatt within the next 12 months or so.
All right, question. We had all these reports of magnetic anomalies. Tons and tons of it went on for the whole night. Could the HAARP project cause such an anomaly?
You know, I've heard the same speculation, and it's possible. It would take some, at this power level, it would take probably a number of unique circumstances. Things would already have to be at a threshold. But let's talk about that, because this is where the root of our concern really lies with HAARP. And if you look back historically, when you're talking magnetic anomalies,
yes, sir.
There's been actually three magnetic shifts in the last, say, 80,000 years. At one point, the magnetic north was sitting somewhere in the Yukon about 80,000 years ago.
Right.
It shifted out to just off the coast of Norway, and then 50,000 years ago, it shifted to the Hudson Bay area, and then 15,000 years ago, approximately, it shifted to its current location.
How
what all caused that is, subject to some speculation.
Okay, I was going to ask you, does that mean, Doctor, in your opinion, best guess, that magma is moving under the Earth, or does it mean an iron core, latest theory, is somehow shifting? Or what do you think might be going on to shift the magnetic poles? How can it happen?
It could be both of those factors, combination of those factors, as well as there's been some speculation that aligning up with planetary bodies creates a resonance effect in terms of gravity waves. I mean, there's lots of different speculation, but the fact is, it does happen. Now, the question becomes, when you look around the planet today, everyone knows the planet is releasing a lot of energy right now in the form of earthquakes, weather patterns are disrupted. It's not just the United States, it's all over the planet.
Yes, correct.
And it's increasing. I mean, when you look historically back the last 20, 30 years, you can see a real clear curve on that graph, no matter what your chart is.
You're right.
It's worse and worse and worse. Now, the question is, here we are in Alaska with up to 1 gigawatt on phase one, a billion watts, 4.7 billion watts on phase two, and a desired level, according to government documents that we obtained to put this book together, they want to get up to 100 billion watts.
My God.
Now, the question is, where's the straw on that camel's back?
I want the average person out there, Doctor, needs to understand how much power that is. Now, the strongest AM radio station that I transmit on, legally in the U.S., is the big ones, like KOMO, and there could be a whole list of them, are 50,000 watts. And you just said at the top of the project they're going to be talking about 100 billion watts?
That's the desired level according to the government record that we found. And that was in a document that the government, in the way they describe it, even denies that the document exists, and yet we've got the copy of it. They consider it an unpublished document, yet it's 613 pages long. And in the midst of that is this little section that sort of lays out where it was from the working group sessions of the early scientific researchers that were putting HAARP together as a HAARP planning memorandum. And it was for internal use only, and we were able to get a copy of it. I don't want to really say how, but it wasn't classified. It was just, they denied that it was published, and they said it was a technical memorandum. And we cite it in the book, and we make it available to media when they ask for it. But what you're talking about in those power levels is huge. I mean, when you're talking about, even at the levels of, say, 4.7 gigawatts up to, say, 10 gigawatts. We had Princeton, New Jersey physicist Dr. Richard Williams comment in our book. And here's how he characterized it, okay? And this makes it pretty simple, I think. They refer to at one point to the need to go at least 100 TVW. One way to visualize this power level is that a 10 billion watt generator running continuously for 1 hour would deliver a quantity of energy equal to that of a Hiroshima-sized atomic bomb.
Oh.
Okay? And now let's talk about that, because one of the applications of this transmitter also is to create an electromagnetic pulse, or an EMP.
Oh.
And before, the way those were created was upper atmospheric detonation of thermonuclear weapons. And when they create this energy pulse, it knocks out electronic circuits over a very large area.
That's right.
Problem is, it's a little messy, okay, from a technological standpoint. But think about the rush now. Everyone's saying, okay, let's get rid of the thermonuclears. And you got to wonder, what have they got to replace it? Well, this technology, according to the patent, is exceptional for that application. Because
You're saying they can create an EMP pulse without a nuclear detonation.
Right, so you have an EMP without radiation, and you can directionally direct it using ionospheric mirrors.
How narrow do you think the beam width at the point back on Earth would be? Do you have any guesses?
Well, they're saying, like, I think, my memory serves me, it's about 30 degrees.
30 degrees. All right, well, listen, everybody, again, we're talking about radiation in frequencies between 1 and 30 hertz, which has a distinct biological effect on human beings. It confuses them. We really don't quite altogether know what it does, but it affects the biological human being. Physiologically,
I think we do know what it is. I mean, it will definitely disrupt mental function. There's no question. The literature is clear. And we lay that literature out in a very pragmatic way as we approach it. And we only cite military documents and mainstream science, mainstream media, because that's all you need. There's enough there.
All right, what have you got? You got fusion. What actually happens to a person subjected at what power levels at these frequencies? What happens to that person?
At 1/50th power level that would naturally occur in the Earth, which is, that's the power level necessary to create, say, mood swings, to create a state where you just can't think clearly, things are confused. And what you're talking about is it has to be the right waveform, pulse at the right frequency, and that frequency range is at 1 to 30 hertz. Now, if you think about, let me just kind of go through where that's at. In the lower range, say 1 hertz to around 4 hertz, is a state that you're in when you're very, very deep sleep.
Well, I wish I could enable this camera. I don't know how to do it, so we're just going to have to figure it out.
Is the state that you're in, sort of in a semi-sleep state. You might even hit some of that when you're awake. Alpha state, next state up, it's a good state for creative work, creative thinking. And then above that, above, say, 13 hertz, you get into beta, which is sort of an awake, alert state. But the higher you go, the more agitated you get. So as you hit 30 hertz of the predominant brainwave frequency, that's what you're doing when you're screaming at somebody at a very loud decibel.
Or either that, grabbing them by the throat and choking.
Right. And so you've got this broad swing, but what happens is your brain waves with the right pulse energy coming in will lock onto that, and then you become, it's what's called brain entrainment. So the frequency locks on and causes a response, and that response works very quickly and was demonstrated at Yale University by Jose Delgado for 2 decades, first with electrodes implanted and then wirelessly using radio frequency as a carrier and pulsing it. And his work continues today in Madrid, at the University of Madrid in Spain. And it's well known that this effect occurs. There's a lot of literature that sort of lays that part of it out. But the biological effects, in fact, if you visualize the human body, all right, it starts the way Western science approaches it. We start from the outside, we look at body parts, then we look at body components, and we look at chemicals and cells, and then we look at nothing else.
Mel's Hall of Fame. Mel, if you're out there, I'll get an email or a phone call from you. Again, and get an update. Mel's Hole, well, it was about a man that found a hole in the ground that turned properties. Also, John Teeter. If John is anywhere near the timeline, John, figure out a way to go to artbell.com, actually, either one of you, and email my producer, Paul Bowman. He's the way to get on the air over here. And we'll see what we can do. So, two oldies but goodies. John Teeter, Mel Waters. By the way, you know who I did talk to? Madman Markham. I've got Madman's tentative phone number. All right, in the housekeeping category, inactivity. A lot of emails. I get lots of emails about, what's going on with the show? Art, geez, at 90 minutes and then it cuts me off and I've got to reconnect. All right, well, there's a reason for it and a way around it. Number one, if you're listening to the program, you're cut off after 90 minutes, that means you didn't touch anything. So what I'm telling you to do is reach out and touch. Turn your volume up or down a little bit sometime during that 90-minute period. Then they begin counting again. You see, it's a sort of man versus machine thing. They know that man can make mistakes. Not machines, right? In other words, you might tune into the channel and then forget for 3 days that you've got your computer downloading and downloading and downloading, so they do that. And it will save you money and save them money because of streaming costs. Now, bandwidth is money. Have you heard that before? Bandwidth is money. So all you got to do to prevent it anyway is reach over and touch the volume or something, turn it up or down a hair. Or almost anything you do on the receiver will reset that 90 minutes so you don't get cut off. Hope that helps. Now, the wormhole. The wormhole has been experiencing unusual gravitational effects. What that means, translation, is that our wormhole at artbell.com, which is supposed to reliably send a message over here, actually had some sort of software glitch in it, and of course you guys pounded the holy you-know-what out of it, and that contributed to its demise, its premature demise. It crashed about 21 times during the last show that I did. So, we now have a new, improved, cannot be crashed wormhole. Keith Rowland went to work and wrote code and made a new wormhole, and it really is sweet. And later on tonight, I'm sure we will test its mettle by having you all send a bunch of messages. But I do have faith that this new creation of Keith's, because he's very, very good at what he does, is going to hold up. Anyway, we're going to find out. Now, BlackBerry. See the news today? 4.7 billion, something like that. People who have BlackBerries love them. I know I have an iPhone 5. It's hard to understand why people love them so much. They're businessmen mostly, but they love them. Now it's sold, and they're going to cater to exactly those people, the business people. So even though you heard the news today, if you're one of those guys, I know Bob Crane is, you'd have to rip his BlackBerry out of his cold, dead fingers. So you'll be okay. And then it was really cute. I saw a kid on CNN earlier today, a 3-year-old. And this is sort of an illustration of the times we live in now. A 3-year-old. Little boy, cute as heck. But mom and dad had just switched to iOS 7, the new operating system for Apple, and he was crying. I don't like it. I don't want it. Just crying. Just like iOS 7. I'm just getting used to it. I don't know how y'all are doing out there. Looking around the world briefly, Kenyan security forces were in what they said were the final stages of flushing out Islamic extremist terrorists from the shopping mall where so many were killed. There are now, and this is really sad, there are reports that as many as 3 Americans may have been among those who attacked the mall. What? Americans? Really? Iran's new foreign minister is going to join talks with 16 nations trying to rein in the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. That'll be later this week. Good luck with that. 30 large dolphins beached themselves in Brazil. We'll figure that one out someday. And another government shutdown. Seriously. It's one of the reasons that honest to God, I really don't care very much. I mean, you can't avoid politics entirely. But if there's a reason to do it, it's this. Government shutdown. I almost feel like saying, who the hell cares? You know they'll come right up to the brink and then they'll either shut it down or refund it. You know, it's all about Obamacare, I guess. Selective's DNA high-velocity DNA tagging system may you soon. You can actually see it in action, I think, on the web. It's available in both pistol form and rifle form. It is a new tool that will allow government agencies to prevent criminals from running away or disappearing into a crowd before being arrested. Now, what this little baby does, it's a high-velocity tagging system. They shoot you with it, right? Up to 30 or, say, 40 meters away. They hit you with selective DNA high-velocity pellet. It contains a unique DNA code to ensure the correct person is apprehended later. DNA pellets used by law enforcement officers to tag individuals with unique selective DNA code from a distance. Just wonderful. On contact with the target, the uniquely coded selective DNA solution leads a synthetic DNA trace mark that will enable the relevant authorities to confirm or eliminate that person from their involvement. So in other words, if you're protesting something, and I guess you're getting out of control or whatever, they hit you with this, and boom, you're DNA tagged like that. Incredible. Times we live in. And I can still hear that poor little 3-year-old crying about iOS 7. I do. In a moment, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to talk about Roswell, and we're going to talk about the Nevada Roswell. I'm Marvell, and this
summer evening, they were sitting out here. Dad looked up and the to him, but he said all of a sudden it seemed to rock a little bit and started counterbalance itself, wiggle a little bit, and then seemed to settle down, take off at a rapid rate of speed.
The next day, reporters heard that the Air Force had found fragments of the mystery object crashed on a remote ranch northwest of Roswell. Excitement ran high until officials announced it was only a weather balloon. Major Jesse Marcel, in charge of the operation, now tells a far different story.
They took pictures of proof. They had a whole truck of microphones there. They wanted some comments from me, but I wasn't at liberty to do that. So all I could do is keep my mouth shut. And General Reagan is the one who discussed or told the newspapers, the newsman, what it was, and to forget about it. It was nothing more than a weather observation balloon. Of course, we both knew differently.
Major Marcel had to keep silent because of his strategic position at that time. He was in charge of all security and intelligence on atomic tests in the United States and the Pacific. Marcel retraced his secret recovery operation across the hot New Mexico desert.
We left Roswell perhaps around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. As you can see, it's traffic. It is very difficult. In fact, with just verbal directions that we know would have happened, we had to follow the ranch around there.
The crash site was so remote, it took an entire day to drive there.
The following morning, we went out to the site where the crash was. And what I saw, I couldn't believe there was so much of it. It was scattered in such a vast area. So we proceeded to pick up as much of the debris as we could and throw it in the wagon. We filled that up. It took us a good part of the day to do that. It was such small fragments, and we had to do a lot of picking. We found a piece of metal about a 1.5 to 2 feet wide and about 2-3 feet long. Some of you had nothing in your hands. It wasn't any thicker than the foil out of cigarettes. But the thing about that stuff got me is that you couldn't even bend it, you couldn't bend it, even though the sledgehammer was about empty. So I knew that I had never seen anything like that before. And as of now, I don't know what it was.
There is new evidence that the FBI then got into the case with a different cover story. Lawyer Peter Gersten, searching through declassified government documents, came across a mention of the Roswell case.
One of those documents related to an incident in Roswell, New Mexico, which indicated that the object which had crashed was an experimental kite. The FBI investigated the incident and determined that it was terrestrial. It was from an organization which had been doing research in experimental kites.
What did it crash in this desert? A UFO? A weather balloon? A radar-reflecting kite?
It was not anything from this earth that I'm quite sure of. I was digging as I was familiar with just about all materials used in aircraft and air travel. This is nothing like that. It could not have been.
There you go. That's Major Marcel himself. Interesting to be able to hear his words after all these years, huh? And then one adjoining fact that's pretty interesting. The Roswell incident occurred on July 7th of 47. It was only 3 months later, by order of the National Security Act of 1947, that would be September 19, 1947, the CIA was created. What a coincidence, huh? All right, coming up now, Jeremy Mueller. Jeremy is a Las Vegas, Nevada resident, who's been interested in the paranormal and ufology since he was very young, so we can probably ask him about the paranormal too. He's part of a group from Southern Nevada called the Bigfoot's Cab Paranormal. What a name. He co-founded that in 2003. Jeremy has appeared on numerous media interviews and TV networks like Sci-Fi, History Channel, International Channel, speaks frequently about ufology and the supernatural. In the last few years, Jeremy has been working on a case from northern Nevada involving lots of strange UFO activities. And here is Jeremy. Jeremy, hello.
Yeah, how are you doing today, Art?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just got done eating dinner around here, actually.
Okay. I didn't interrupt, I hope.
Oh, no, you're good. I actually finished like right before the show began.
Okay. Are you on a cell phone?
Yeah, right now I actually am.
Okay. Do you have a real phone?
No, just this one.
Only that one. What happens if your battery goes dead, Jeremy?
I'm actually plugged into the wall right now.
All right.
Right next to the computer, if I
All right.
close.
Well, we'll hope for the best. It's hard to know where to begin because I hate to say this, and you know, I appear ignorant, but I never heard of the Ely crash.
Not very many people have, actually.
Oh?
See, where to begin? Well, the Ely UFO crash is kind of a weird sort of event. When I began researching it, I turned from one UFO crash to two UFO crashes and a UFO landing. I guess people actually get the facts all mixed up and they combine it into one big event. So you're in for a pretty interesting story here, Nehart. I know most people find it very fascinating. The stories of men in black. I've actually encountered the men in black in person. There's physical UFO samples that I've given and I picked up from the crash site area. So there's tons to talk about.
For those who don't know, how big a town is Ely today?
It's between 2,500 and 4,000, depending on who you talk to and who you ask exactly. I think Wikipedia says 3,500, I think.
3,500. And back at the time of the alleged crash?
I think it's pretty much about the same. There's not really much going on there today compared to back then. It pretty much stayed exactly how it was for the most part.
That's not many towns do. That's very unusual. So it's open kind of just a little town.
Yeah. They pretty much, there's 3 grocery stores, a handful of gas stations. I don't think there's any really big neighborhood department stores there. It's kind of a picture of small town America. The best way I could compare it is think of the town on Stephen King, It's the Town, to say that, but that's what I compare it to.
Any history of UFOs in that area, either prior to or after this event?
Yeah. Actually, the Ely area has been full of UFOs even before this happened. I guess it was in 1844 or 1864. It was told supposedly a UFO had crashed into a farmland out there back then, but I haven't really researched that to get into it that much. But now there's also an area over called Duck Creek. It's right over the mountains of Ely. It's probably about a 30-minute, 45-minute drive. There's been long since the stories of UFOs being reported back there. There's an area, I guess only about 10 or 15 small farms out there. Well, apparently there's UFOs, so they call them strange lights. I can call them UFOs, but I'll get into that in a few minutes. But I guess they come out of the Duck Creek area where there's no inhabitants, and these glowing red and purple lights, they come through the canyon, and they ride by these people's houses, and I guess they light the houses of whatever color these are glowing. And I guess with no sound, they glide, I guess like 6 or 10 feet off the ground, depending on the specific incident. And there's an area called Kalamazoo Road, Pacific, where they're seen. And I haven't seen these lights myself, but I have plenty of stories involving these lights. And one of the UFO stories involving the actual crash comes from this general area. That's where one of the UFOs came from.
All right. You would acknowledge, I'm sure, this is not a really high-profile deal like Roswell was. In other words, not a lot of people know about it at any rate, right?
Not at all.
So then what in the world, how did you get interested in something that nobody's sort of ever heard of before?
Funny story. I was actually doing another radio program back in 2008, and somebody had come on the line and asked me a story. It was actually a ghost show I was doing. And somebody had called and asked if I'd heard about a UFO crash in northern Nevada. And I I've never heard of it. So I went online and I searched it, and I found that basically the only thing you find online is a date and the location, which is Neely. And I got intrigued. I went down to UNLV, which is a big college down here for your listeners that are. I went to the microfilm collections at UNLV, and the more I started researching, I was finding things that were very strange or didn't exactly add up. Like, the crash date didn't make any sense, because I found basically nothing from the date that they had listed on the internet. Well, I started getting really, really sneaky, and I actually found the original author who posted it in an old magazine called the New Atlantean Journal back in the, I think it was the 70s, 1974 or so. And they had actually directed me, the author of that magazine directed me towards the original researcher that had found it. And we got to talking, and just based on his facts, I actually went to the town of Neely and found there are tons of first-hand witnesses, tons of stories. This is a crash site, it's interesting. I mean, I don't really know how many words to describe how weird the whole situation turned out to be.
With this purported crash, is there actual? I mean, there's amazing stories to go with it. For example, they say there were 16 bodies. Is that correct?
I know a pretty close number. I know of at least 6 or 8 of them. There's probably more, but I only know about 6 or 8. So I actually
do you know anything about those bodies? I mean, in other words, any details from anybody who saw? I mean, if there were bodies, then somebody must have seen them, unless the military got to the site. I'm probably jumping way ahead here, and closed everything off so nobody could see. In other words, how does word come of bodies, whether it be 6 or 16?
Well, this is one of the most amazing parts of the story. I don't know if you want me to tell it all right now or not, but there were stories of civilians. They actually found some of these aliens were living. They got away from the crash site and were wandering around the flatlands and right outside of town. Actually, people were reporting some of these aliens were alive, walking around. So there was some bodies, but some aliens had died at the crash site, yes, but there's actually some reports of them actually, I would call it escaping, but they're escaped, and were actually wandering right outside of town, probably about 3 miles from people's houses.
Oh my God, these are people that actually reported to you that they saw these creatures?
I actually didn't have any reports of alien bodies, and until the Ely Daily Times newspaper, they put me in the paper, and I told them basically a little bit of my story. And I got probably about between 5 and 10 different callers who didn't know each other, actually told me that they had seen either the dead bodies or the living bodies, or not bodies, the living aliens.
Did they describe them?
Yes. This is another thing that I've never heard before, besides maybe Flatwood, the Flatwood, West Virginia state for the same year. But anyway, I don't really know how to describe it without giving a specific eyewitness story, then I can get more into it.
Any description would be very welcome.
Well, I'm going to give the story with it, then I'll get more into the 2 different types of beings that they reported.
Sure.
Well, the most detailed accounts of the alien bodies, there was 4 children. They were ages, I think, 4, 6, 8, and 10, like all 2 years apart. 2 of them were, one was a brother, one was a sister, and the other 2 were friends, which like they were friends. They lived at the base of a mountain right outside of town. I don't know if they want me to give away the exact name of the mountain right away, because people are going to go out to the mountain to try to find something else. So I'll get to that in a little bit. Well, this mountain is literally overlooking the town of Neely. And people live on the base of this mountain. And there's a big, giant boulder in the center of the mountain. And I guess all the townspeople back then and nowadays, they go up to this boulder, they, I guess, hang out. Some people go up there and drink beer, or people go up there and just teenagers hang out and that sort of thing. Well, these kids were up on this mountain. They were housed at the base of the mountain. They were deep in this mountain, and they were playing. I don't know what they were playing, but I guess they were just playing around. And the sister, I told 3 older girls and one was a boy. The boy is now deceased, but the sister was the original one that contacted me. I was talking to the sister, and she had told me that Golden Flame, her brother, was tearing off. He took off running very fast past them. Didn't say, I guess he was like in the hysterics, crying and running away. He didn't know where he was running from. And the next thing I know, I guess the woman took up one of the other girls took off running past her from the same direction the boy had been from. And I guess she said that she had turned around and saw this big boulder, and on the opposite side of this boulder, she said there was something, she said that they called it Thumper the Rubber Man, is what they originally called it. This was reported.
I'm sorry, again, please. They called it what?
Thumper the Rubber Man. Now, I don't know where that name came from, but it was a robotic like creature, robotic being. She said that it was either metallic looking, and she said you could see the reflection of the rock and the trees and the being, I guess we could torso its whole body. She said that it had at least one of the arms was a pincher. I told her like Bobby the Robot, and she said, yeah, kind of like Bobby the Robot. But whatever this thing was, she said it was either walking fast or it was running, but whatever this thing was, it chased all four of these kids off the mountain and they ran into their house. Whatever this creature was actually pacing around their house. And she said that one of...
Now, is this thing large? Tall?
She said that it was about the size of an average man, so about 5 to 6 feet tall.
But the kids' pincers.
She said it had at least one pincher. I still have it on both hands. I know that she said at least one hand.
Okay.
But whatever the thing was, I guess they ran into the house, and one of the little girls actually fainted. She had to be brought to the hospital eventually, sometime throughout the day, because she was having problems breathing and was having heart palpitations that got so scared at seeing this thing. And apparently they called the police, and the police went out to the house, and they never found whatever the thing was. I think it went back into the forest. But here's where the story gets more interesting.
Hold on a second. It's already interesting enough now. You said the police became involved, right?
Yeah, the police showed up on the property.
So perhaps, with luck, there's some sort of police report that was filed?
Well, I went down to the police station and tried to get police reports. They told me that supposedly they couldn't access the reports that were that old, which I think, I don't know if they can or they can't. I know of other researchers that have found older reports than that, but...
Yeah, a local police station, maybe not. That's an awful long time ago.
Well, apparently...
And so that we're clear, what is the exact date again of the crash, please?
July 7th, 1952, which is 5 years to the date after Roswell.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Same day of the year, huh? July 7th.
Oh yeah, 5 years later.
Wow. All right, so no police report. Nevertheless, the police were there. One child ended up in the hospital. This is really quite a story. It's quite a story. And how substantiated do you feel, Jeremy, all this is?
I think it's way underlooked, and I think the whole case in general should be talked about more, and more people should know about it than they do already, personally.
Well, based on what I've heard so far, I would agree with you, yes. It sounds like a big incident. You have creatures, you have alleged aliens, people scared, the police, hospital involved. It's beginning to get to the point where I'm wondering, now, I'm sorry to be coming ahead on you, Jeremy, but I looked all this up on the internet before I had you on, because I wanted to see what sort of story I was getting into, and I did find a YouTube piece, which, by the way, I sent to Ethan. It's up on artbell.com if you want to see it right now. And indeed, there's been a local investigation, and when they first looked in the newspaper archives, suspiciously, the day in question's newspaper was missing. Well, most of them were there, but the day in question was missing. Now, they did go to, I guess, some microwave backup or something and found a newspaper for that day, but it didn't reference any UFO crash. Am I right?
Yes, because the actual date was in July, and the internet says, I think it's August 14th or August 12th. It's actually a month before that. So that's why the past investigators that tried to look it up have never found any information. because they haven't been looking in the right states, they've been looking ahead of time.
Oh my. Okay.
And that's all right.
All right. Have you now gone back and looked at the correct date and looked for anything in the paper at all?
Yeah, actually, the Nevada newspapers, especially Healy, didn't report any sort of incident. If you go to Oregon, Idaho, Washington, or Utah, they did make the front page of many newspapers in those states. Like the government or somebody censored the Healy newspapers and all the ones in those little towns there. Because I don't know why a Nevada paper, especially the town of Healy, would not report that their paper, but yet Ogden and Salt Lake City would have it in theirs. Because if it makes front page in Salt Lake City 2 or 3 hours away, I'm pretty sure that would have been front page news in Healy, I think.
Boy, I wish you had a real phone there. It just, cell phones kind of clip things off a little bit, and sometimes it's hard to hear. All right, I'm going to ask you to hold tight for a moment. We're going to take a very quick break, and when we get back, we'll get further into the story. But it certainly is fascinating. I mean, imagine something of this magnitude, many bodies in a trash heap. Cell phone connection he's got is absolutely awful. We're going to have to see what we can do to get through it. With regard to the wormhole, let's see, David says, the wormhole's a nice idea, but it says, do not expect a reply. I don't see how a reply is possible. It looks like a one-way street to me, in which case an expectation of a reply is erroneous. It should say replies are not possible. Well, wrong, David. You just got. That's a reply, so the wormhole. I mean, feel free to test it, folks. Blast it a little bit. Send me messages. Send me questions for Jeremy, and we'll see if it holds up. I'm telling you, last week it collapsed like crazy. Now, he's coded all weekend. I don't mean he, lost his heartbeat or breathing or anything. He coded, wrote code. Until we got a new wormhole. And so far, so good. All right, Jeremy, welcome back. Now, question for you, Jeremy. Did my producer ask you if you had a landline phone?
Yeah.
And you answered what?
I'm actually on my cell phone at the moment.
I understand that. When he asked you if you had a landline phone, what did you say?
I just said, if he asked me if I had a neighbor or something, I could go use their phone. I said, no, I didn't.
I see. Okay, well, it's really tough on the air, Jeremy, because what you're saying is really fascinating stuff, and I'm going to try and continue with you here, but it's, cell phones are just not the way to go for an interview. That's why we talk about landline phones. So let's keep going as we can anyway. The actual crash site itself, Jeremy, you said it was overlooking the town of Ely, so obviously it's on the hill up on a mountain, whatever. Is
No, not the actual crash site. That's where the living aliens are reported. The actual crash site's a little bit further away. It's like on a little bit further down.
All right, look, it's been a long time. I don't think there's a lot to fear from people going out there. Can you tell me where the crash site is specifically?
The actual crash site is outside of the town of Ely. It's close to a town called McGill and another smaller town called Cherry Creek. And the alien beings, this is my theory, they probably came through the mountain or the woods. And the best way to describe it for you and your listeners is there's flatland, and at the base, these flatlands go all the way to the base of the mountain, and that's where the mountain starts, that's where the forest begins. And there are two crash sites. There's a southern one and a northern one. This is the southern one I'm talking about here. The southern crash site, these alien beings could have walked through the woods. It's not very far away. They could have walked onto towards the mountain where they those kids came.
Right.
But so,
All right, here's one for you, but I'm sorry. Can you give me actual GPS coordinates?
GPS coordinates?
Yes.
I might be able to. Let me look at my notes really quick.
Okay, I would think through a long period of investigation, you might have marked the actual site with GPS coordinates. And I don't think there's any harm in giving it out on this late date. I mean, it's been so long now, right? 1952. So people want to go and visit, and if people can find something, then hey, why not? So again, if you find them, let me know. It's not something I can have right now. Okay?
Yeah. So
All right.
The name of the mountain is called Squaw Peak. And I'm trying to find the name of the specific area where that boulder is. I know I have it written up right here. But, yeah, I guess even the locals would call it Big Rock. That's what my notes say. It's called Big Rock. It's halfway up on Squaw Peak.
And that's actually where the crash site is?
That's when that's where they have seen the aliens, the living alien creature I just told you about.
Okay. All right, so that's not the actual crash site.
No, I don't know if that's the crash site.
Okay, don't worry about it, Jeremy. Go ahead and tell the story, and maybe during breaks or whatever, if you can find GPS coordinates, I would love to give it to the audience. Because some people might want to go out there and look around, and they might find something, Jeremy. You get enough people going through an area, you might turn something up.
Well, I know that one of the girls who lived on the base of the mountain still in the same house, so I was going to say, I don't know if you want people to be out there, because that's her actual backyard, that's part of it, but they go down low.
Okay, I get it. I wouldn't want it either.
But,
go ahead.
I was going to say, do you want to talk a little bit about the general story before we get deep into specific parts of it?
I do, yes. I do, go ahead.
Alright, well, I'll give you a generalization of the story, and we'll get deeper into specific parts of it so as we go along. Well, around 10:30 in the morning, on July 7th, 1952, over in Utah, they had seen some kind of a weird fiery object coming down at I guess you said it was a 180-degree angle coming towards the ground.
Wow.
It was forming in the air. This was reported as an orange fireball with leaving a blue gaseous-looking cloud of smoke behind it. And this object was originally reported in Idaho. I guess it flew over to Utah, and then it went back towards Nevada. And even Nevada is kind of in the northern part of the state, towards the top right corner.
Right.
Well, at the same time, around the same exact time, there were civilian witnesses that reported a green T-shirt object with a gaseous blue smoke trail behind it coming from the Washington and Oregon area.
Wow.
And these two objects are coming towards each other, and the next thing you know, the western eastern object flies over Salt Lake City. So Hill Air Force Base, they actually had a tower there, and they were saying that they had seen an object there. They actually got planes in the air to chase after this object, I guess, is what the Project Blue Book report said.
I know. This is full of surprises, Jeremy.
Well, Project Blue Book actually has about 10 or 15 pages on this specific incident.
Okay.
Well,
That's good. That's good to know. I had no idea it was documented at all. And here you are coming with all this information. People having cited the descending objects. Wow.
so, here's what happened. So, there was the E-17 that's flying around Hill Air Force Base doing maneuver, like a training of some sort. Doesn't really say, but this E-17 was doing training maneuver, and the tower told them to go chase after this object. Well, they went 300 miles per hour. They came nowhere near this thing. They flew through that gap of blue Idaho and Utah, they reported a giant explosion, and this thing that came down and actually smashed into the ground outside of the town of Montello. It's an area called the Berry Valley. And nowadays, the small town that was in the Berry Valley is gone. Montello is the closest town, and only 35 people live there nowadays. So, if you find out there was a small town that crashed like this, but that crash that's actually like a 3-day drive. And then, I guess one of the objects that hit the other one, and one that came down south, and the explosion was in the air, it got crashed at the site that's near McGill and Cherry Creek, I'll tell you, right by June. So this is where the story gets confusing. Is people report that the two crash sites are actually one crash site. And there's something that happened in the 1970s in the town of Root, which is even closer to Ely than the Cherry Creek crash site. But that was a UFO land, I'll get into that in a little bit.
You know, that's not unusual. I mean, even with Roswell, you've got one crash site, no wait, you've got two, and you've got bodies in another location. So, you know, what you're saying is kind of consistent with the way these things seem to be reported.
Yeah. Well, something interesting I forgot to tell you was, the Ogden newspaper from July 8, 1952, they actually reported that fire had burned 600 acres of land. Yeah, I think it was July 8. They reported that the fire had burned 600 acres from the northern object. The southern object started a fire, but it wasn't as big. The southern object was reported at 11:30 in the morning, and the northern one was reported around 10:30, 10:45. So they're pretty close between the amount of witnesses.
Right.
The one that had crashed up north was closer to town than the one that was in the south.
And the one that was sighted in Utah, that was at about 10:30 in the morning, right?
Yeah, the military from Hill Air Force Base actually reported that it was at 10:30 in the morning their time, is when they had initially seen the thing on fire.
Okay. Well, we may have had our own Roswell here.
So
Is that what you conclude? After all your investigation, you conclude that what happened here in Nevada and Ely was in fact a Roswell for Nevada?
Definitely. I have stories of alien bodies from the southern crash site, but the northern one, I don't have any stories of bodies up there.
All right.
But
now, all of this would have been absolutely impossible, it seems to me, to cover up. And according to, the investigation you've done, it hasn't all been covered up. But at some point, and again, I hate to rush ahead, but was all this covered up? Did they come in and, I don't know, quarantine the area like there's been a plane crash or something?
Well, I'll start with the northern crash site started. The northern crash site, actually volunteer firefighters from the town of Montello came up to the crash site, and I guess they had come up to this object. And while they were trying to put out this fire, they didn't know what it was at first. They were trying to put out this fire, and the military told them to leave, and they quarantined off that area. Well, the southern crash site's a whole different story, because there's railroad tracks and a freeway, Highway 50, I think it is, runs right by where the crash site is. So there were people driving by, and the railroad was driving by with their train cars. So quite a few people seen the southern crash site. Highway 93, sorry, I just remember that. But yeah, quite a few people drove past that crash site. I guess the most interesting story I found came from a train worker. The Nevada Northern Railway, as the company was called, they used to run trains coming from Bruce, Nevada, which has one of the biggest copper mine pits in the world, called the Robinson Mine. It's been open since the 1800s anyway. This train used to bring people to work, used to bring people to school, because it was a remote area, especially at that time. And people were very heavily on this train. Well, I think I went to the Nevada Northern Railway Museum back in May, and they actually have records of every train log, pretty much since the company started and when it ended. And the story I'm about to tell you actually got documentation of it at the Railway Museum. I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, so this man was riding on a train. I'm not exactly sure if he was an engineer, what he was doing on the train. I never asked him, but he was riding the rails, and he came across a section of the track. The man told me that was torn up like pretzels. The tracks were destroyed. They were thrown all over the place. They're in the nearby creeks, in the mountains. He said they're everywhere. But
Torn up like pretzels? Is that what you said?
That's the exact word. He said they were bent like pretzels.
Bent like pretzels. Wow. imagine what it would take to bend a train track. Imagine what it would take.
Oh, yeah. Well, so they managed to stop this train just in the nick of time, I guess. And I guess they said when they stopped the train, they didn't know what would happen to the rails. So I guess if they look off to their immediate left, up on the base of this mountain, they had seen where this object, you didn't know what it was at this point in time, but the UFO had come from the sky, crashed into the ground, and skidded into the small brush and small trees at the base of the mountain. And he told me that the thing was still smoking. It had just happened. This was around noon, by the way. It's 12 or 12:30, so it had just happened recently. And he said that this object was out into the trees, and I guess whoever was in charge of the train told them to stay put, not to move. Well, some ranchers had come from that Duck Creek area with those ranchers I was telling you about, and they had gone out of the ranches, and they were all climbing on top of the UFO and picking up small pieces off the ground and whatnot.
Really?
This is what the man told me, and this is exactly what some of the ones that stick to this story.
All right, well, okay, I'm sorry. Again, I'm going back to that YouTube investigation thing. You know, they looked through Ely and talked to the population of Ely as best they could. They couldn't find anybody who could relate the kind of stories you're telling. I mean, my God, if you had climbed on top of a UFO, you, your son, your daughter, your wife, everybody connected with you would have heard that story because you'd be telling it like crazy. So it would be there for generations to come.
Well, the thing about Ed Pierce is from